Hi and welcome to the Malat Cookery channel. So today we're going to be making a good old-fashioned quiche Lorraine. So I make a quiche probably every couple of weeks, and my wife divides it up and places it into our twins' work lunch boxes. It's a great source of protein, but it's also really delicious as well. As usual, a full list of ingredients will be given at the end of the video, so let's have a look at those ingredients now and anything else we're going to need for today. So what we're going to need for today, and this is enough to fill a 25 centimetre flan dish. So I've got 100 grams of grated mature cheddar cheese, 200 grams of bacon lardons. You can use just standard bacon and chop it up if you like. 5 medium free range eggs, a 300 milliliter tub of double cream, and 150 milliliters of semi-skimmed milk. For the pastry, I'm just going really simple and using a ready rolled short crust pastry. What else we're going to need, because we're going to be blind baking the pastry, so I've got some dried peas, which are quite a few years old now but still good, and that's to weigh down the pastry to stop it rising in the centre when we place it into the oven. If you haven't got any dried peas, you can use dried rice or the ceramic beads that are actually made for the job. The other thing I'm going to be using is some greaseproof or baking paper, and also some kitchen foil. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is to line our tin with the ready rolled pastry. So I've placed that into the centre. The pastry was actually a little bit too short on the width, so I've used a rolling pin just to roll it out a little bit more, just to ensure that we can cover all the way up the sides and have a little bit of an overlap. So from there, I've just made sure there's no air pockets underneath the pastry. I've gone around, because this has like a fluted edge, I've gone around with my finger just to get that definition into the actual pastry case. And the next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to trim it with a pair of scissors just to make sure there's a little bit of an overlap running all the way around the outside. So the next thing we need to do once we've trimmed around the outside is to take a fork and just prick the bottom or the base of the pastry case. And once we've done that, I'm going to take some strips of tin foil and just put those over the edge of the pastry, and this just protects that edge when the pastry goes into the oven. So once we've lined the edge with the kitchen foil, I'm going to take a piece of this greaseproof paper, just scrunch it up into a ball, and this makes it a lot easier to work with. And then place that greaseproof paper into the bottom and up the sides, and I'm going to fill that with our dried peas. Okay, so this is now going to go into a preheated oven, 180 degrees centigrade, for 12 minutes, and then once it's been in for 12 minutes, I'm going to take this parcel out of the centre with the dried peas, leaving the foil in place, and I'm going to bake for a further 8 minutes without this centrepiece in, and that will get that pastry nice and crisp. Okay, so this is what we end up with regard to the pastry case. So as I said before, 12 minutes with the greaseproof paper in and the dried peas. Take that away, and then a further 8 minutes to get this nice and crispy. So the next thing we want to do is to mix the the ingredients together for the filling. So we're just going to add about 3/4 of the cheese. We're going to reserve some for sprinkling over the top, and the same thing with the bacon lardons. 3/4 of those will go into the filling, and we'll reserve some for sprinkling over the top before the quiche goes into the oven. So it's basically just mixing everything in. Okay, so once that's all mixed in, the next thing we want to do is to take the foil off the pastry case, and using a very sharp knife we just want to trim this all the way around the edge, just so we get a flat surface all the way around the edge of the pastry case. Okay, so once we've trimmed the pastry case, the next thing to do is to use a ladle and just transfer our filling into the tin. Don't pour it in, it's always best to ladle it in. Okay, so once we've filled up the pastry case, the next thing to do is just to sprinkle over this cheddar cheese that we reserved. And then the remainder of these bacon lardons. Okay, so this is going to go back into that preheated oven, 180 degrees centigrade, and we're going to be baking this for about 40 to 45 minutes. Okay, so after 40 minutes, this is what we end up with. So you can either eat this hot or cold. We're going to be eating it cold, so I'm going to wait for it to cool right down, stick it in the fridge, and then it's going to chill for a couple of hours before we slice it up. So that's it, Quiche Lorraine, really simple to do, especially if you're going to use ready-made pastry. Please subscribe to the channel, and as usual, if you've enjoyed this particular video, hit that like button. Thank you very much for watching.